Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. I want to say to anyone who can hear me, I have 10 open seats in the front row. This is an abomination. I want every seat filled. I have 10 seats in the front row. We are starting. So now's your chance. Look at you, A students. With your bright, shiny faces. It's February. How's it going? Y'all learning about yourselves? You had some New Year's resolutions, working that out. I learned something about myself recently, that I spend more money on my dog's haircuts than I do my own. A lot more, actually. It's worth it, but it's intense. I don't have that much money on my Venmo. Okay, I have 10 seats in the front. Chatty Cathy's. I cannot start this program with 10 open seats in the front row. Also, there's this whole VIP section over here that no one's going to use if anyone wants to bring a little picnic blanket up and some chicken tacos. I'm not even hungry, but the smell of tacos makes me hungry. Is that not how that works? Yeah. Okay, my voice is a little louder now, so I'm going to say it once or twice more. 10 open seats in the front row. And does your booty belong in one? Okay, we're down to 9. Well done. Smart choice. You did it good. How's the chair? Comfy. It's nice in the front row. Plenty of space. You do have an aisle seat. Anything can happen in the aisle seat. If the person next to you has to use the restroom, don't be rude about it. I do want to say, this is just a bonus. Thank you to Selco, and thank you to the Oxford. Oh, we're down to 8 seats in the front row. Well done, my friend. We're down to 8 seats in the front row. Thank you to Selco, and thank you to the Oxford for providing parking. Last month, parking was like the most stressful thing. It was stressful. It was unexpectedly stressful. I'm sweating just thinking about it. But this month, totally different story. Okay, my friends. I'm going to officially welcome you, and I'm going to keep if you know someone, send them a text. Tell them to come sit in the, there you go. If you know someone, send them a text. Tell them to come sit in the front row. There's a few people coming up. Have a seat for you. I'm front row. This guy. Can we get this guy a prize? Chicken tacos in the back, but don't leave your seat. Get him after the show. Nice. Thank you. Text your friends. Hi, thanks for coming. Great to see you guys. Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to February PubTalk. My name is Shannon Kelly. Really happy to be here with you. Some of you are very chatty. It's weird because I can see a lot of people just listening, looking right at me. Okay. Wow. Just a little bit of guilt. I am all powerful, listen to me. Okay, that's terrible. So anyhow, special thanks to Worthy Brewing for having us back. It's great to be here again. And thank you to Hand in Hand Productions, of course, for a multi-room streaming setup. Congratulations to those of you who got a chair. I do want to say there are 6 left in the front row. They'll be open to, oh no, 2 of them are closed. These are reserved. Okay, we've got 4 chairs left in the front row. If your jacket's on a chair, you should come sit on it. We're starting. So anyhow, thanks for coming out in the middle of this freaky blizzard, this 24-hour snowstorm. It's going to be 60 on Sunday. I can't explain it. But we're here to celebrate some amazing Central Oregon companies, and I'm so excited that you all are here. You can just sit down. You can just sit right down. I'm so glad you guys came to the front. These ones are open. Not that one. There we go. Is everybody good? You guys had some snacks? You look good. You're ready. You're ready. That guy over there's been ready for like 2 hours. Feel bad. I hope he has an extra beverage. He doesn't get dehydrated. I'm able to host tonight, so if you're happy to see me too. I'm able to host tonight thanks to OSU Cascades Such a blessing to have them here in town. OSU Cascades extends our warmest congratulations to Rita Hansen, tonight's keynote speaker, and her team at Onboard Dynamics for their continued success. We are especially proud to have been a part of this story, as this was the first commercialized technology developed at the OSU Cascades campus, as reported in this Bend Bulletin article from 2014. There it is. Oh, Rita, there you are. And just like that, this guy's friends showed up and the front row is full. I'm so happy. So we're able to host PubTalk tonight thanks to our generous event sponsors. But before we hear from our sponsors, I'm going to actually take a hard left and call Matt Hand from Hand in Hand Productions on up to the stage. He's going to give a 92-minute keynote speech. It's going to be very entertaining. He almost never gets up on the mic, so... Oh, you brought your own.
There we go, that's better. Hey, so who in here right now is talking? So I just wanted to let you know that most of you actually have always heard my name, but never know actually who I am. Hey, Jason, could you grab that next slide for me on... So this is actually a facility that's located literally 3 blocks away right now. We actually have, in addition to doing events, we actually do a virtual, yes, that's Broken Top Candles, so we support local here. We actually have a virtual studio and stage that is literally, like I said, 3 blocks away. I just wanted to encourage anybody that I've got cards. If you're interested in taking your Zoom meetings to the next level, we actually do that, as well as supporting events. And we've been proud to have people like Shannon and other people in our studio before. You've been in our studio, haven't you? Yeah. And so, thank you. I just appreciate it. Thanks. I have cards. Anybody want some more information? I'm here. So, thanks, Shannon. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. Matt has cards. He's got cards. Be sure to get one of Matt's cards. Okay. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for all that you do. It's wonderful working with you and your team. Up first, Kurt Barker, partner at Best & Krieger. Kurt, I'm so excited to see what you have in store for us.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to PubTalk and a functional microphone. I'm glad you're here. I've been accused I neglect sometimes to talk about what we do. I'm an employment attorney. I defend employers, advise them, keep them out of court. But the rest of our firm, business, real estate, corporations, estate planning, natural resources, you name it. Now that we've merged and are a multi-state firm, formerly Carnot Peterson, now BBK, there's not much we don't do except criminal law. Sorry, I know a guy. And we don't charge people for talking about how we might be able to help you. So please, if you have a need, or if you just want to explore what it might be like to work together, what it might cost, let me know. So I'm going to do a giveaway and have some fun and do a quick introduction, and then I'm out of here, Shannon. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds
Cool.
Great.
Will you not steal this from me? It's a 5 Fusion
I'm no thief.
sushi bar.
I'm no thief, Kurt.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to give this away when I get off stage tonight. I have $100 to my favorite sushi bar here, 5 Fusion, their clients and friends. I think I'm supposed to announce that it's a Japanese brasserie in the heart of downtown Bend, but what I really want to tell you is Talina and I had a sake and sushi pairing flight there last night. Get it while you can. I'm serious. It was amazing. So we're going to keep it really simple this time. Email me, how about 5 or Fusion? We're going to keep it really simple. Whoever emails me that first will get this when I walk off stage. And then last but not least, so do that now if you want $100 at 5 Fusion. Are we being clear? Okay, good. Now, somebody interesting. Billy Williams is the newest law partner in our Bend office. Billy, I think you are in the back. Can you raise your hand? There he is. Billy, I'm so glad you're here. It's his first PubTalk. Can we give him a warm welcome? Yay, Billy. So I didn't tell him I was going to say this, and I hope I don't get too much crap for it, but you remember those Dos Equis commercials with the world's most interesting man? He does not always drink beer, but Billy's kind of that guy in the legal world, and I'm serious. I mean, he was, before he came to Best & Krieger, the U.S. Attorney for Oregon under 3 sitting U.S. presidents. Yeah, that one, and that other one too. So He oversaw the Malheur occupation, the 2020 chaos in downtown Portland. He has stories to tell. Now that he is with Best Best and Krieger, he's focused on investigations, helping clients with environmental issues, and he's just a problem solver. I hope you get to know him. Let's look and see who won the gift certificate and kick me off stage.
Is his name William Williams? Please tell me it is.
Jesse Fisher, are you here?
Jesse Fisher.
Yeah.
You're
Thank you,
going
everybody.
to
Have a great
Five
pub talk.
Fusion.
Look me up, Jesse.
Congratulations. Thanks, Kurt. Round of applause for Jesse. Round of applause for Jesse. Are you guys mad that you didn't win? I've never seen you like this, so sassy in February. Okay, special thanks to our returning title sponsors, Columbia Bank, Providence Health Plan, and Velox Systems, who sponsored the team from Onboard Dynamics to be with us tonight, as well as a group of STEM students and faculty, which is incredible. I'm telling you, our sponsors make all of this possible. We're so grateful. So thanks again, Kurt, for keeping it fun. And a special little bonus thank you, in case you didn't hear me before, to Selco and the Oxford for providing us with some extra parking tonight. We needed it, so thank you. All right, so let's introduce EDCO CEO John Stark. Where are you, John Stark? Come on up here, give us a director's minute.
Hey, PubTalk Nation! Boy, you know, it's been a while since I've been up here. I was on vacation last month, and so I think what it's been since November. So glad to be up here again. Thanks for everybody weathering the storm tonight to get out here. A couple of announcements for you tonight. First, I want to recognize someone way back in the, I guess, the front of the room. We're in the back, right? So in the front of the room, Emily Miller is a new EDCO hire, been with us for about a month, and she is our marketing and administration coordinator. So super happy to have her come join the team as a new position we added last year, and she's doing some great things. We're looking forward to her future with us. Last time I was on stage, I had mentioned that there was a legislative assembly coming our way that would start this year, and boy, we've been super busy with that, and we are in full swing. I testified yesterday, the day before, and I'm supposed to testify today, so I'll tell you a little bit about what we've been doing, but this snow was in Salem, too. What happens in Salem when it snows? Everything shuts down. So great that we don't do that here, and you're all here tonight. So a lot of that work in the legislative work that we do is really kind of behind the scenes, the table set, so that economic development can happen and that our businesses can grow and flourish here in the area. And so our legislative agenda is largely around preserving and extending the economic development tools like the Enterprise Zone, which is a property tax abatement program we use to help companies grow here, the Strategic Investment Program, as well as supporting industrial site readiness, supporting workforce development tools, a lot of the work going into the semiconductor industry right now to support what the feds passed in the last year on the Oregon side so that Oregon can remain competitive. And so we've been doing a lot of work there. There is some really cool legislation right now that will restore R&D tax credits for companies, particularly around semiconductors. And that's a big deal for companies in that space so that they can obviously do research and development and then bring new commercialized products to market. And then one that I thought was kind of cool to mention, and I'll wrap up with this. How many of you remember the commercial activities tax? Raise your hand. Yeah, so not everybody liked that one, right? So there is two bills right now, companion bills in the legislature, that would take the tax burden for that from $1 million when it was passed to $5 million. So that would help a lot of small businesses, particularly those with thin margins. And if you're interested in looking those bills up, Senate Bill 127 and House Bill 2433. And so we're excited about that. It's been a busy session already. The bills should wrap up in terms of new bills and legislation here soon. And then we'll be just looking at how these bills, since there's numerous for different types of agendas, may get consolidated into one bill, and then we'll be testifying for those. But this is the work we do behind the scenes, again, so that we can support our local companies back here on the high desert. So I thought I'd mention a couple of those bills and our agenda and just tell you what we're up to kind of behind the scenes on your behalf to help create the economy that we all want here. So that's it. Thanks, Shannon.
That's a good one, John. Here, I'll take that microphone. It's good to have you back. I love to hear that small businesses with slim margins are getting some help. Let me check my notes. That is all of us, so that's great news. Now, We've heard from John, so let's hear from Ben Venture Conference Fund Manager Jen Lynch. The who, the what, when, where, why. Jen, I need to hear it. Where are you? I can't see you, but I can sense you moving toward. There you are.
Hi, friends. My name is Jen Lynch. For those of you I haven't met before, I am the manager of the Ben Venture Conference Investment Fund. And what we do every year is invite investors new and old to join us in the fall to screen and select the companies that will present on stage at the Ben Venture Conference the third week in October every year. The other fun thing that we do with those companies is invest in them. So we raise a new fund every single fall, and that fund comes in between, let's say, $150,000 and $500,000, depending on how many people show up. And we work together as a team to invest in one or more of the companies that you see on stage. So I am here today in February, a little early for Ben Venture Conference, to ask a couple things of you. First of all, we need great companies. All year we need great companies. And the best thing to do with those great new startup companies that may potentially be investment grade is to make sure that you keep referring them into the team at EDCO. Deanne Buck, our venture catalyst, is here to receive those. Please reach out to the EDCO team. When you hear of that great new startup that's just getting off the ground and looking to raise its first round of capital, EDCO is your connection to me and the investors that I know. So number one is great companies. Number two is new investors. So I think what we are trying to do at the Ben Venture Conference is make more people in Central Oregon comfortable with writing that first check. And the Ben Venture Conference is a great way to learn how to do that. We're offering a couple of opportunities to meet me and meet some of the other investors. For current investors, we're having an event on Tuesday. And hopefully you've been invited to that. For new investors, we're going to get together at the end of June and kick off this year's program. And what we'll do is talk about the schedule. We tend to start right around Labor Day, and we go in the sort of 6 to 7 weeks between then and the Ben Venture Conference. We would love to have you this year, and we would love to hear about your companies, and we would love to meet folks who are interested in learning more about this process. So you can find me at bendvcfund.com, and you can always visit EDCO to identify our venture catalyst, Deanne, and refer her contacts as well. So again, bendvcfund.com, and I look forward to meeting all of you.
So awesome, Jen. Thank you. Ben Venture Conference is my favorite event. I mean, February PubTalk is my first favorite event, but Ben Venture Conference, so much fun. Get involved, Ben VC. So thank you, Jen, for that. And today's first company pitch is provided by supporting sponsors Barrett Business Services, Inc. Your BBSI Central Oregon team is honored to be part of bringing you a PubTalk each month. BBSI has a full team of seasoned and dedicated professionals offering tactical and strategic payroll, HR and recruiting, risk and safety, and business consulting services that help you stay focused on growing and developing your business. We've been here for over 20 years and are ready to help you when you need us. We hope you enjoy your evening. And supporting sponsor TDS, proud supporter of EDCO and PubTalk events. They value being a part of the Central Oregon business community. TDS offers high-speed internet, phone, and TV, integrating all your favorite streaming video services for both home and business. Our fiber optic network continues to expand through new business construction projects to keep up with our rapidly growing community and its technology demands. So please go to hellotds.com for further details. Now, up first, Emmanuel Ogala, CEO and founder of Josplay, recently moved to Bend. Josplay is a music tech company providing robust intelligence to enrich African music metadata for increased discovery and wider audience reach. Founded in 2019, Josplay was built by a group of engineers and music experts who are committed to studying and preserving the African music heritage, sharing this knowledge with the global audience, and powering music innovations with proprietary technologies. Since its inception, Josplay has not only built scalable intelligence with music data, but they have also built smarter streaming capabilities now possible for African music. Josplay believes the more empirical and accurate the knowledge grows, the larger the platforms for African music to thrive in a content-heavy digital music ecosystem. Welcome to the PubTalk stage, Emmanuel. Where are you, my friend? You're welcome. It's on, just hold it really close. Let me see.
Mic check.
What happened? Okay, there you go. And then just hold it.
I think it's on now.
There we go.
All right. Thanks again for that wonderful introduction. My name is Emmanuel Ogala. I am the CEO of Josplay, like she said. We are basically an African music metadata and intelligence company. I'll tell you why we are just doing African music in a bit, but before then, let me tell you about my team. I work with a team of 2 other co-founders, Jide Okoro and Adobe Okons. Jide works out of Nigeria and heads our Africa team, and he's also the marketer on the team. Adobe is a medical doctor. She works out of Lapine here, and she heads our research unit. And, why do we do what we do? Josplay is, so we provide music metadata and intelligence to other companies. So we're essentially a B2B company. And we help them make sense of their African catalog so they can, reach more audiences that has never been reached in Africa. And so let me paint a picture for you here as to why we do what we do. Say you wake up on Saturday morning and you need to do your yoga, and you instruct Siri to play you a very happy music or a very calm music to aid your yoga. Before Siri is able to fulfill that request, Siri needs to know a little bit about the music he has in his catalog. He needs to know which one of them is calm enough and who you are in the first place. What's your taste in music? And Siri does not start listening to the music he has in his database right there and then, because that would be too computationally expensive. So before then, Siri needs to know there are a little bit of data, descriptors that are pre-computed ahead of time and made available to Siri. And Siri can, quickly search through this and get your results. And this is where we come in. But why do we do it just for African music? If you did this in the US right now, you probably get a very good result to aid your yoga. But if my mom did this in Nigeria, for instance, she wouldn't get a good result. And that's because everyone that do this at this point, they kind of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but they suck at African music. So we don't get good results when we make this kind of queries. So what we do is take every piece of song made by an African or in Africa, and we try to study it and tease out, through some machine learning processes, tease out these descriptors that can be made available to the likes of Siri or Spotify to aid in playlisting or discovery and all that. So that makes them, it gives you an opportunity to reach an audience that's never been reached before, as opposed to what it is right now, where all the companies are pursuing, what's new or what's trending. So music can really then fulfill that emotional or psychological need that it's supposed to fulfill. But that's just one of the processes that we go through at Josplay. On the other hand, we have, for instance, now you probably, you've got your music, you've got your song. How is it displayed on your app? So you need to see a picture, the name of the artist, the title of the song. Are those things spelled correctly? Is the picture correct? So we have an editorial process on the side, also ongoing, led by or handled by a QA team that looks at each song and makes sure that this editorial metadata is complete. And why this editorial metadata is not just useful for for playing, it's also very useful in terms of paying. When you've played, probably it's not a royalty-free music. And when it's not, everybody that participated needs to be paid, from the artists, the performers, to songwriters, producers, engineers. And so what we do is mostly this data does not accompany the music when it's released. And we go with our QA team, try to fill up this data so that when people get played, they get paid. And so at the end, what you have is a very rich combination of metadata that lets you play, pay, and also display. And one of the reasons why the people who do it right now kind of suck at it is also that African music is complex. It's not just straightforward like the Western music. It's very heterogeneous, and how we listen is also has a lot of nuances. Sometimes it follows cultural patterns, sometimes it follows political patterns, sometimes it follows language patterns. Like in Nigeria, where I come from, we have 3 ethnic groups whose music never mix, and the listening pattern also follow that. People don't like to listen, or they don't enjoy what comes from the other ethnic groups. And this is not currently built into our AI models. And so this is one of the things that we bring at Josplay. And we know this is, well, okay, let me give you an example of a few people that are currently in the market. There's Grace Notes, owned by Nielsen. It covers rights from Japan all the way through the US to Europe. There's also the EDCO. EDCO came up strongly in 2014, but it was bought by Spotify and taken indoors. There is also Museo. Museo came up strongly 2 to 3 years ago from South Korea, but it was bought by SoundCloud last year. So the only available music metadata at this moment is Cyanide from Berlin, whose focus area is more on the European market. So the African market is kind of very open for us right now. Nobody is doing it. We're the first to do it. We're the first to bring it into the market. And we also bring in rich descriptors. What we do is actually look at this music from the perspective of an African. How would you describe this? How do we build this how do we codify this into machine-readable languages that other people can depend on to build their applications, and then be able to reach more audience. And so far, it's not been a very easy journey for us. We've been building for 3 years, but thankfully last year we attracted 3 advisors. One of them, Jesse Rosenzweig. Sorry. Jesse Rosenzweig, who's a member of the house here. He's been very helpful in introducing us to early-stage investors. We also have Dapo Oloriyomi. Dapo owns a newspaper in Nigeria. He works out of DC, and he also runs a few fact-checking projects across Africa. And the music business guy on our advisory board is Obiasika. He also owns a record label out of Africa, and he's been in the business for over a decade. And so 2 weeks ago, out of our efforts and their advice, 2 weeks ago we launched our first metadata API, application program interface, which means other machines can now talk to our infrastructure and get data. And thankfully, we signed our first customer, who was also already waiting for our APIs to be out, because they are called royalty.io. They build royalty management dashboards, but so far they haven't found any music API that has accurate metadata on African music. And so they were just waiting on the side for us to publish our API. And thankfully, they are at this moment providing us with alpha testing feedback. And our goal is that by the time we were done, we would have looked at every music made out of Africa or by an African and codified it and made it, making it available to other downline users to be able to build the application on top of that. And that it becomes possible to reach more unreached markets. And people like my mom, for instance, should then be able to instruct Siri to play a calm song, and Siri will pick an Africa-centric song to play to her. Thank you for listening.
So this is really incredible, but it does sound like it's been a bit labor intensive. Have you had to do each song like by hand? You're finding all the details, entering it, and then going from there? Is that what you've been doing for 3 years?
Yes, practically. Practically. A lot of the music that we've had to work with do not have this metadata in place. So we have to look for them any which way. We scrape the web. We also buy up CDs and look at their backs, buy up vinyls and look at the writing on the back to fill up this data.
And so you're creating this very cool way for people to access music that makes sense for them if they're looking for a certain type of African music, but you're also preserving African music that otherwise could potentially be lost or only reach a small number of people, is that right?
Exactly, yeah. And one thing I didn't mention was that in October last year as well, we put out an African music library where we're sharing this, our experience and the knowledge we've gathered so far and our data so that it can inspire other developers to build for the system. And by this way, we're preserving the heritage, the culture. It's kind of archival, but beyond the data, we also do provide knowledge to others through the process.
You must feel like you're just like digging for treasure. Are you just ever surprised by what you're finding, music you've never heard of, music you've never been exposed to? Is that happening pretty regularly?
Of course it does. Our music is very rich and very complex, very diverse as well. And so as you go from city to city, the music changes, the instrumentation changes, vocalization changes. And it's so interesting to find all these that are currently outside of the digital system. They are currently not accessible through Spotify or Apple or any of the existing music streaming applications. And sometimes they get played in their local radio stations. It never gets recorded because we just don't know it as the true, for instance, a digital fingerprinting technology who's listening to radio stations to count who's playing what. You just can't, recognize that.
So it's amazing. Do I have any questions from the audience for Emmanuel? Okay. Oh, yes. How did you come up with the name?
All right. The name is made up of Jos and play. Jos is a city in Nigeria, one of which I love very much. It's at the center of Nigeria, almost at the, if you divided Nigeria in 4 ways, it's probably going to be somewhere close to the center. And it's a melting pot for cultures across Nigeria. So it's a very welcoming city that has everybody from all parts of Nigeria. And what I intended for Josplay, or what I intend for Josplay, is to be that melting pot for music across all of Africa.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So what were you doing before you started doing this? So it feels like this must have been like a natural kind of progression for you, where you're like, this needs to happen, and then you just fell down a big rabbit hole. But what were you doing before?
All right, so before this, I was head of a digital strategy team for Premium Times, a newspaper in Nigeria. And from there, I came to the US in 2015, did my master's in software engineering at CRTU, and I worked a little bit with Freeman Co. as a technical director before starting this. But this actually inspired me to come take my master's in software engineering, because at the time I was a self-taught developer, and I wanted to build this, but I just couldn't express what I wanted enough for other developers to grasp and build. And so I had to take the course myself, And that opened up a lot of opportunities for me to be able to build out this.
So cool. Okay, yes. Who's the most popular African musician that you are streaming?
No, we don't stream.
Or that you feature?
Well, there are too many of them. From Fela, Anikulapo Kuti, and his Femi Kuti is his son. Sorry? Fela? Yeah. There's there are just too many, from Nigeria to Mali to Morocco, all the way to South Africa. But personally, I don't have any favorite. just too many.
Just like in awe of all of it, I would think.
Yeah.
It's probably such an incredibly overwhelming catalog of music.
Yep.
Just like, what are you in the mood for right now? What about you?
So is the long-term play to try to get the African music into other countries, or is this the data you're collecting going to be more specific for people in Africa to find music that?
That's a great question. It's a great question. So he wants to know if the big play is to make this for people in Africa to be able to access this music, or to make it so that it, tell me the first part, that it would be, that would integrate.
If I say I want to listen to calm music to Siri or Pandora, will it then hopefully get those songs over to me, or is this more regional based?
Yeah, are you trying to get this music to everyone, or are you really trying to make it easier for people in Africa to access it?
Our number one goal is to make it easier for people in Africa to be able to access this. But then, if the machine understands that this music is also calm, and it looks like a few of the things you've listened to, then it should also be able to recommend that to you. But our number one goal is the African audience.
So cool. Okay, I just have one more question. Is there anything that's like really surprised you or excited you about this process? I mean, you've been doing this for several years now, so what's been the most exciting thing?
Well, the most exciting thing has been all the discoveries along the way, discovering when I came into it, I really never expected that. As at the time we started up, Apple had just two descriptors for music out of Africa, and that was world music or African. My first exposure to music out of Africa myself was on a flight to Berlin from Lagos, and I got exposed to Baba Mal and the likes from Check Low and all that. And so far in our research and development, we've come across over 100 valid musical genres that are equally very good and very listenable. And they all have recorded music, and they have large listenership. And so that kind of blew my mind. And seeing how the music taste changes as you go from the south to the north, based on whether it's very vegetative. If it's very vegetative, like in the rainforest, you have a lot of drums. And as you go up north, through the desert, there are more stringy strings in their music, and which is kind of ties back to the culture. The absence of trees, they are nomadic, and they can carry a lot of loads. And so that kind of also informs their music. So it's not just been a journey in learning music for me, but also a journey in discovery of Africa.
This is so beautiful. Well, I feel like maybe you should win the Nobel Peace Prize someday. But that's just me. I don't actually have any ins there. I'm gonna put it out there for you, though, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, and I hope that you'll come back and give us an update.
All right, thank you for having me.
It's just incredible how smart all you people are. It really is. I'm really in risk of falling off this stage now. I did it. I didn't do it. So how about a quick shout out? How about another round of applause for Emmanuel? That was really, really cool. So a quick shout out to our new EDCO members. New EDCO members, if you're here, give us a wave or a little shimmy. Central Oregon Radiology Group, Farewell Media, Kevin Watkins, Airgas, Brian Link, TriNet, Mike Caston, and Saffield Griggs PC. There are QR codes around the room where you can easily sign up for EDCO membership or reach out to Team EDCO to learn more about what we're doing. And thank you to all of our new members for joining us. It's really, really wonderful to have you. So tonight's next company pitch is sponsored by COAR. The Central Oregon Association of Realtors is the voice of real estate industry in Crook, Deschutes, Jefferson, and Harney counties. COAR's members strive to build better communities by supporting quality growth, seeking sustainable economies and housing opportunities. And our supporting sponsor, COCC, Central Oregon Community College, specializes in partnering with local businesses and industries to create fully customized training programs. Whether business owners are looking to certify local workers in specialized on-the-job skills, establish an apprenticeship program, or develop and deploy HR workshops, COCC is the region's partner in workforce training and professional development. Learn more about COCC's Center for Business, Industry, and Professional Development at cocc.edu/CBIPD. So, Matt, do we have a slide for our next speaker? BlueCube CEO and founder Thomas Schiffer was introduced to the benefits of ice bathing after spending years trying to find a solution to stress and anxiety caused by a hectic lifestyle. He looked for a hassle-free, high-circulating solution but found nothing functional on the market. With an extensive background owning restaurants, Schiffer was intimately familiar with HVAC, freezers, and refrigeration components. After moving to Central Oregon, he partnered with co-founder David Haddad and Zach Parsley to launch BlueCube in Redmond. With its unique high flow rates, BlueCube offers both residential and commercial customers a cold plunge experience that is always cold and always clean. Here to educate us further on the BlueCube journey are Thomas and David. Welcome to the PubTalk stage. Come on up here, you two. All right, David, here you are. And Thomas, welcome. You guys, take it away.
And I have to stay on the stage?
No, I mean, I would stay close because the speakers.
I'll make sure not to fall off. Hello, everyone. I'm David Haddad. I'm the co-founder of BlueCube. This is Thomas Schiffer, founder, CEO. And we manufacture cold tubs, cold plunges in Redmond. We have about 13 employees right now and growing. Since early 2022, we have experienced 1.4 million in sales, so a lot of growth this past year. And our biggest issue right now is capacity. We simply can't build these fast enough. For those of you who are not familiar, think of a jacuzzi, but instead of hot water, it's cold water flying at you. And why anyone would want to do this? There's tremendous health benefits. So past 5 years, renaissance has happened from Wim Hof and other enthusiasts, and cold exposure is a health megatrend. It's the perfect complement for saunas, so that's been on the rise as well. And our product fits the high-end and commercial markets. Those are two customers that we're really satisfying. We set out to solve a major issue, which was there was no self-contained cold plunges. Either commercial clients would have to build in, hire contractors, permitting expenses, et cetera. Same with homeowners to build these in order to have robust temperature control and to handle the back-to-back plunging experience. We were the first company to really create a robust product that allows for that type of experience on the commercial side. And we got initial customers who were crazy outliers, having 100 people per day plunge in their units. And that MVP launched with the customer feedback, allowed us to hone in on a feature set that we think is very unique and adding a differentiated value prop in the market. In 2022, we landed major influencers such as Joe Rogan, who had our bath. He's mentioned it several times on his podcast. And that really solidified our position as the premier brand. We also have connections with Dr. Andrew Huberman, who received a unit, among other celebrities that we think can help us spread our brand at a very low cost, very cost-effective marketing campaigns. To give you perspective, the sauna market is around a $4 billion industry right now. It took several decades to grow. It was very big in Europe, but America has since caught fire with saunas. Cryotherapy is around a $300 million industry, and so we predict that cold plunging, which is much more efficient than cryotherapy, about 20 times more efficient at delivering cold dose, is going to be on par with saunas in the next several years, just given the benefits and how well it pairs with hot tubs, how well it pairs with saunas. We've also spoken with several high-end builders who predict that every high-end home is going to have pool, sauna, a spa, and a cold plunge. That's going to be the package for the high-end residential. That's pretty much as far as where we've gone on our journey. Right now, we're interested in investment capital to increase our throughputs. We simply cannot build these fast enough. We have about 45 in queue right now, and our gross margin is around 20%. We believe with increasing capacity, getting heavy machinery such as CNC and the overhead sander, we can increase our margins to around 50% on the gross margin side, which would help feed our business and continue to grow and scale. I'm going to hand it off to Thomas now to go over some of the founding story and how he came up with this.
Check. So it's 12 degrees outside right now in Central Oregon, and we're here to talk about ice baths. So know your audience. Maybe we'll start selling jacuzzis too. 52 years old. Before it was cool to be an entrepreneur, I really was. I grew up in the Bronx, learned how to make pizza, moved to LA, opened my first pizzeria at age 24. My brother still owns it. Got roped up into Central Oregon through marriage and subsequently a divorce because I was a workaholic. Got lucky enough to bag about 50 acres in Tumalo, so not hating that outcome. And was fortunate enough to find a younger version of myself in David, who literally lives on site, has been
Fun stuff.
He has been there 24/7 for the last 18 months. We're crushing it. I don't know, what to say in 2 minutes to impress you guys. We're in your backyard, and we're in the laps of some of the coolest people on the planet in an industry that, if you want to be intelligent, we don't know, what sales will be. We don't know what the market will be. There's assumptions. But right now is the most exciting time for me because we have a pure product. It's scalable. You can introduce new things. A lot of it is actually skin tech. The exciting things about tracking, tracing the data of the behavior, of the science. To David's point, a renaissance of the health benefits. But our job is just to make a kick-ass ice bath. A durable one, a serviceable one. We weren't first in the market. I literally got prompted into this. I thought I was going to retire, guys. So I wanted to buy a competitor's. I got sticker shock. And then I started to unpack it and realized that the foibles of my youth, working in cabinet shops, all these things, I really started to see that there was no market segmentation. There was no discernment. You couldn't tell the difference between a $7,000 piece of poop and a $30,000 piece of poop. It just hasn't happened yet. We are creating terminology that is, we're like Maytag in the 50s. Direct cold hydrodosing, trademarked. Like it's insane. So it's a fun ride. We encourage you guys truly, even in spite of things, we have a barrel sauna. Come out, do some contrast therapy, see the product while it's still in its purest state, because it's gonna scale. Hopefully we'll, hold on to that essence, what captured David, what captured me, what will hopefully capture you guys, and we'll solve the other problems. It's gonna happen. There's just too much momentum behind it. So thank you guys for all coming out.
Let's do some Q&A. I like that you're like, I'm 52 years old.
Sorry.
I've had a life. Yeah, round of applause. This is fun.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate. I thought you were gonna be like, and I took a tub, and now I feel 47. That's what I thought you were going to say. Talk a little bit about some of these special features that you're talking about, because I am familiar with the cold plunging, but why is it so easy, and what makes it appealing to businesses and also to people putting these units in their homes?
Okay.
Don't fall off the stage.
No.
I do think we should have set one up right here.
It's okay.
Double
It's
the
like the
size.
perfect spot.
I'm only
Yeah.
a few beers in.
You're 52. You've got a lot of energy.
So the problem, really, the holy grail, is the ability of a machine to offset the introduction of body heat, let alone ambient, but body heat. To David's point, we got lucky. We got these guys that were having 100 people a day consecutively plunging.
Yeah.
So how does the machine stay cold? The other so-called competitors were just failing. You had to get more expensive. You had to get bigger horsepower. You had to get chilling motor. Fortunately, some of the other guys that were along our original site map were in the keg washing business. So we went through many iterations to figure out how to keep a machine cold in the face of plunging. Secondary gain problem that became secondary gain was as we got into larger chilling motors and recirc pumps borrowing heavily from the spa industry, we realized you could get also the stability of keeping something clean. So more flow rate meant more real-time response to the introduction of body heat, which meant the machine wasn't overworking or lagging. And it was also, we're talking 2,800 gallons an hour and a 140 gallon tank 80 times an hour. Every drop is going through the chiller and through the filtration. It's the holy grail.
I imagine you guys are just like, oh, when you're working on these things, right? Yeah, you're just
so
blown
that's
away.
where it gets fun, right?
Yeah.
So what's happening now is we're realizing a lot of people, their first experience, they don't want to be the superhero. They want to be able to just either raise the temp, or now you can select the flow rate.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I have a question here.
On your sales strategy, what's the mix of distribution, hot tub dealers versus builders?
Yeah, so on the sales strategy, it's a great question. On the sales strategy, what's the kind of layout in terms of distribution with spa people or direct sales, or what's that looking like for you guys?
So that's a hot button question, because their model, right, pre-pandemic, pre all the supply chain issues, was dealership, service, fix it, maintain it. So they're kind of dinosaurs, but they're effective. And we don't want to dismiss that segment of the market share, because they also, the ones that have remained, are truly book rich, client rich. They know the industry. They're flirting with us, but until we know our true throughputs, until we have production, we can only make about 20 units. We're literally in a barn in Redmond right now. So we can't fulfill a 100-unit order right now. I'd be terrified. I'd get invested, but I wouldn't be able to, I'd burn that relationship. Yeah. So to answer your question, we're kind of using the leverage of, hey, direct to consumer is more profitable, but we want to go down that path. And back to, we borrowed from the spa industry, everything, any pool and spa guy nationally, or we're selling internationally, they can go and fix it, service it if it has fall over.
And so if I wanted to put one of these in my home, would I put this in the garage? Would I put it in the living room? Where would it go?
Wherever you want.
Okay, but it can't really go outside. That wouldn't make sense from a...
No, it could definitely go outside.
It can?
Yes.
Wow. What'd you say? In my chicken coop? I don't have a chicken coop, but you probably do. These guys do. It could go in a chicken coop. I mean, I feel like that would be tough on the cleaning filters, but how big is it?
We have different sizes, so we have a tub that's 5.5 feet long. That can fit somebody who's 6'5", no problem. We even make 6-foot tubs for some crazy athletes who wanted our bath, like 6'9" NBA stars.
Wow.
Or 6'8".
You can make like a petite little dunker for just like a tiny person. How did you two meet?
We met in Santa Monica. At the time, I was in another startup, and we were taking a walk, and Tommy was strolling around, kind of like frowning around, and
he was like, "I'm 49 years old."
And my co-founder was like, "Is everything okay, man? Like you look really sad." And he was going through the divorce at the time.
Oh.
So he's like, you know what? Everything's not okay. My wife's taking me for everything I got.
Oh,
you
no.
know, you know what? How are you guys? Like, what's going on? So we pitched him, and he comes from like a startup back. He's a serial entrepreneur himself. So that immediately formed a bond. And we just grew our relationship from talking business, talking different startups. He's had several exits, so that kind of cemented the bond.
And then he got you to move up here?
And then he kept bothering me. He's like, hey, I'm building this bath and flowing water. I'm like,
You're like, I'm in.
At the time, I'm doing, ice and horse
Yeah,
trough.
right.
So I'm like, who the hell's going to buy this, man? Like, no one's going to do this. Like, I'm a MacGyver. Like, I don't get it. Flew up here, tried it. And I was like, yeah, I have not experienced this
That's
cold
so
dose.
cool.
This is going to be the future.
Seems like it'd be huge in like physical therapy practices. Could it be mobile? I have a friend who has a mobile sauna, and they are booked all the way through the year. And to have something like this along with it would be very cool.
So the applications are endless, and we were really industrious in that because we're small, because we're kind of one-offing toes to nose, we were able to make a lot of different kind of SKUs. We have a modular system. The modular system can have, a component and configuration up to 60 feet away, and then whatever tub size you want. We're now realizing that could be able to drive 5 or 10 tubs back to gyms, spas, resorts. We also have the initial thing, which could be kind of simplified to what we're calling a plunge pack, which you can, at this point, convert any existing horse trough or jacuzzi into an ice bath.
Or chicken coop.
Or a chicken coop.
Yeah, or a chicken coop. Yes.
What's the average selling price of the unit?
What's the average selling price of the unit?
So the average ticket price right now seems to be hovering around $17,000.
17,000.
We just launched, it's high ticket price. Yeah, yes.
It's like a what?
Yeah, it's a car. But they pay for themselves, right? Our B2C, it's a pass-through, right? Low power, under 20 amps, maybe $4 a month in electricity, and back to, it's not just a trend. It's almost as ubiquitous. You need to be relevant in the gym and spa space. You have to offer this.
Yeah, I think that part is so interesting. I mean, like, in my mind, it would be booked solid
37.
immediately. 37 degrees.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's not chunks of ice floating around in it.
No ice.
So for us, it's kind of the faux pas, right? We're the no ice guys. To us, ice is a dirticle. It doesn't circulate, doesn't get filtered. It sits there from client to client to client. And the health departments are treating this like a 50-year-old industry with the pool and spa playbook. They hate ice. So
Well, and to your point, like being able to customize this for people who are just learning, you have someone who maybe has some adrenal stuff going on, they're not going to go full 37 for 3 minutes or whatever. They're going to put their toes in and work their tolerance up and let this be a really therapeutic modality. So this is very cool. I hope you guys will come back and give us an update.
sure, thank you guys so much.
Enjoy that barn out in Redmond. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, EDCO, too.
Thank you, guys.
How about another round of applause for my BlueCube friends? And for those of you who've never done it, it's worth a try. So now on to our much anticipated keynote presentation, sponsored by Sensiba San Filippo, on the hunt for tax savings. Who isn't? Get familiar with the new Oregon Pass-Through Entity Tax Election, or PTEE. With PTEE, owners of eligible entities can elect to pay their Oregon tax liability and receive a federal tax deduction at the entity level rather than it being limited as a personal tax deduction. PTEE was effective last year, but you can still receive the deduction this year. So reach out to your accountant or your SSF team to help you get started. The Sensiba San Filippo team has been a part of the Central Oregon community since 1988. Learn more at ssflip.com or contact info@ssflip.com. And so, Rita Hansen, climber, mountaineer, mother, engineer, angel investor, and co-founder and CEO of Onboard Dynamics, has been breaking trail and charting new paths since her days as an industrial engineering student at the University of Washington. Born out of OSU Cascades, Bend-based Onboard Dynamics is the market leader in the climate technology revolution. Under Rita's leadership, the company shifted its product focus in January 2021 and has since grown from 9 to 32 employees. Rita will discuss how the company found success and is driving change across the natural gas industry. Tonight, she will be presenting Charting New Markets in Clean Tech and Investing in Entrepreneurship. Welcome to the other side of PubTalk, Rita Hansen. Get on up here.
And this is on. Yep. So I want to ask Tommy, I'm 65. Can I get to 45 if I jump into one of those things? I just told my husband that I'm going to change out the hot tub for one of those. Maybe not. So listen, I want to thank EDCO for really inviting me here, and thank Columbia Bank for giving my team 5 free tickets to come here tonight. So we have a good showing from my company. But before I get started, it's not like I can see everybody, but how many people say this is their first pub talk? First pub talk? First pub talk coming here. Okay, awesome. The reason I ask that is because my first pub talk here at EDCO in Central Oregon was in June 2012. Now, this is a little bit sad because Shelley Gunton was the keynote speaker that night. And Shelley was amazing, warm, kind, kick-ass entrepreneur. She and her husband co-founded Castor and Pollock's dog food company, and it was later acquired. So she, and with that, decided to become an angel investor. She became a mentor. She became a volunteer. And she's part of my story because she actually encouraged me to take this job back over 10 years ago. Shelley sadly passed away at the age of 59, 3 years after her pub talk, when she was 59, due to brain cancer. She was actually in the process of moving here. Her son actually interned at EDCO. So we're going to get on to some more fun stories, but tonight, I'm dedicating this keynote to Shelley. So let's start this story. So 10 years ago, I was actually introduced to Dr. Chris Hagan at Oregon State University Cascades by EDCO. It was Jim Coonan, who was the venture catalyst back then. And Chris was new to Bend. He was actually new to OSU Cascades. He had just been hired on. And he brought with him an award from this agency called the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Energy within the DOE. If any of you are reading Speed and Scale, he talks about that, ARPA-E. And Chris had this award. He was set up at the school, and he was looking for help to commercialize his technology. So he went to EDCO. And EDCO turned him on to me. I had just moved here, and they knew that I was kind of into these sort of things of, serial entrepreneurship. I was into energy, but I knew Jeff Whitwer. How did I know Jeff? Because he and I did some angel investing back in 2012 at the Bend Venture Conference. Woohoo, Jen! I was one of those people that came to Bend and started to get involved with the BVC. So I said, oh, Jeff, he's a much better person who should be talking to Chris. Because Jeff's like PE, he's got his master's degree in engineering, and I'm an engineer, but I'm not that kind of engineer. And so then I was like, Jeff, you need to meet Chris. Jeff says, oh no, I helped hire Chris at OSU Cascades. I'm like, oh, okay, well, so let's the 3 of us band together and help Chris. And so we did, and over the process of a few months, we're like going, there might be a pony in there, because Chris was doing this really cool stuff with unique natural gas compression technology. And we were kind of chasing this idea that back then, 10 years ago, natural gas vehicles were a thing. They're starting to be a thing again, but they were a thing back then, and we were trying to figure out how to help address this critical lack of infrastructure we have in this country about refueling natural gas vehicles. So the 3 of us band together, along with Steve Westberg. Some of you know Steve. The 4 of us actually we formed the company, and we spun it out from OSU Cascades. And I like to tell, for years I would tell Becky Johnson every time, it's like, yeah, remember us? We were your first company to ever spin out of Oregon State University. So, and we're still here. So so this problem that we were trying to solve 10 years ago was really something that the government was giving us funding. The funding fueled our existence for about, 4 years. And then we launched a product to figure out how to solve that natural gas compression problem. But then the work became real. The government award ended, and we needed capital in order to survive. And that's when the fundraising journey began. And another shout out to Jen, who's part of Portland Seed Fund. They were our first private capital into the company. And they have supported us over the years, time and time and time again. For those of you that know Jim Houston, he's actually still on my board, which is amazing. So I can tell you that the fundraising journey for us was really, really hard. I'm amazed, actually, that we navigated multiple valleys of death. And I'm amazed that my team did not abandon me. Really. There were a lot of personal sacrifices, and a lot of you are here with me still. But I think it was because we believed in something, and our vendors and our partners, they believed that we had something. And actually, I look back on this time now. I look back on this now, and I just go, oh my God, why didn't they just walk out the door? But they didn't, and the vendors and the partners didn't, and our spouses and significant others didn't. And the real belief in what we were doing didn't really present itself until the summer of 2020. And we all remember that, right? We all remember the summer of 2020, the height of COVID. You couldn't exactly sell that thing across a Zoom call. That doesn't happen. Yeah. So we were barely surviving a PPP funding at the time, and we had a customer who was actually using one of our earlier products down in California. And this customer calls us and says, hey, you know this device you have for natural gas vehicle refueling? Yeah. We think we can use it for a problem that we have where we're trying to go in and do some maintenance on a pipeline. It happens to be running right alongside the freeway in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we really want to figure out how to, before we can go in and do maintenance on that line, we need to evacuate the gas out of the line. And what we really don't want to do is we don't want to valve it off and vent all that gas up into the atmosphere, because natural gas becomes methane. And methane becomes methane emissions. And we just don't want to do that. We just don't want to vent the gas into the atmosphere, and we don't want to flare it. So flare, it's another choice they could do, but that's actually just running the gas through a burner. So you've got CO2 emissions. So either way, they wanted to be able to figure out how you captured that gas and do something with, and recover it, so you didn't have to vent it. And we're like, what the hell are they talking about? All we know is natural gas vehicle refueling. So we have no idea that, okay, that's great, sure, we'll send a technician down. We sent a technician down. We sent a technician down to the Bay Area. We're like, great, go do it. 2 days later, they call back, oh, wow, that was successful. You guys ought to think about this. You guys ought to think about this application, because this is a big problem for a lot of us. A lot of natural gas utilities in this country and around the world that are trying to figure out how they can go in and perform maintenance on a pipeline and evacuate the gas. And evacuate that gas where they're not venting it or they're not flaring it. They're actually capturing and recovering it and doing something with it. So let me take a step back and tell you what we do with that green thing right there. We actually we took our first product And we actually hook that up to a pipeline when we know that a customer wants to be able to go in and perform maintenance. And our system will capture that gas. We hook it up to, they do a cut and they're going to valve it off. And we can actually take that gas and either put it into an adjoining pipeline, or we can put it into a vessel that's been compressed up to 3,600 PSI so that it can take it somewhere else and re-inject it back into the pipeline. So that's what we do in order to prevent those methane emissions from going up into the atmosphere. So we were able to, back to 2020, so when this customer called us and said, wow, you should really think about this. Well, it took us a few months to really kind of pay attention to that. We were actually chasing another grant opportunity with ARPA-E. We'd been encouraged to go after this big chunk of money, and so we were all heads down on that. And next thing you know, that fell through. It was probably like, the fall of 2020. And we were sort of like, we sat back around the table and we thought, okay, remember that conversation from that customer? Heaven forbid we should listen to our customers, but maybe that's worth thinking about. Maybe this is an industry, an application that we really should go after. And so we sat down. My team were like, okay, this is what it's going to take. Oh my God, we got to put all the chips in. We've got to do a big pivot. We'd already taken some twists and turns in our product development path, but this was a big one. And so we went to the board, and I will never forget this. I will always tell this story. It was 2 days before Christmas. Jim Houston on my board, Rod Ray on my board, and we're going to the board and we're saying, listen, we really think we should go after this market, but it's going to take 100% effort. We gotta focus, and we gotta do major customer discovery. And we don't know this industry. We don't know. I mean, it's a huge risk, but we gotta do it. And I call it the Hail Mary pass of the company, because they said go. And under Rick's direction, engineering, operations, the whole company, it was a massive customer discovery effort. It was Alan putting together project plans and saying, okay, this is what we got to do, because we got to be launching a product by summer. And we had no money, but yet we weren't paying ourselves, and we were just doing everything we could because we knew it was the Hail Mary. And the more we learned, and the more we learned about our main competitor in this space, and the more we learned that, oh my God, we're doing two things that differentiate us from our competitor. We're actually running on the gas that's in the pipeline to power the system. So what you see is what you get. That's all you need. A pickup truck and a go vac. And you show up at the job site, and you hook that pipeline, you hook that baby up, and we did a project today. And the customer saw it, and he's like, okay, we'll take two. It's amazing, because what we learned is that our competitor, you've got diesel-driven air compressors or diesel-driven generators or some other power source that has to come to the job site. We don't need that. With our innovation, we've been able to always provide. We run on natural gas to compress natural gas. We run on natural gas to compress natural gas. That's been our mantra for a long time. The other thing we do, we have amazing sophisticated controls and telemetry. We're collecting a ton of data. And data right now to our customers is like, oh, you mean like I can get an environmental report that says how many tons of CO2 emissions I've not shot up into the atmosphere? So powerful. It's powerful today, and it's going to be more powerful as we get into more of the, people talk about greenwashing all the time, and other, means that companies, they're trying to, say they do this, but they're not really doing this. Well, no. Here's an environmental report. We really did it. and we collected the data. We can show you that we did this. So we had those two differentiators for us that really allowed us to come into the marketplace with a bang. I mean, I know like Rick lost all of his hair at this point, but when we launched the Go Back Max at the end of May, and we tested it with our other, shout out to our partner Northwest Natural over in Portland, Oregon. We tested it 1 week, and the next week we were in Nevada actually doing a job. It was like, oh my God, hang on, are we sure we know what we're doing? And we did. I mean, the market received our technology with such, they embraced us. And I can tell you that a week later, after that, we got the call from BP Energy Partners, the private equity group, the really small boutique private equity group that, that was based in Dallas, Texas, and said, yeah, apparently they'd been stalking us for a while, but yeah, we're kind of interested in what you're doing. And so it was, it was amazing. I mean, we were, we said, okay, yes, we need capital. We really needed capital, and so we were actually talking to a couple players. But what was really important to us was finding an investor who knew our space and who understood us. So it's been a wild ride. I have to tell you that, and I'm jumping ahead, and so I just have to make sure that I'm on track, Shauna. I don't want to, but because we were having such amazing success, that by November of 2021, we inked the deal with BP Energy Partners. And so I have to say, I kind of thought that they were going to just like shoo me out the door, bring in their own people, move the company to Bend, and that would be it, right? And then hopefully what was the most important thing to me was that the technology was going to get deployed at a big scale. Tommy and Dave were talking about scaling up. I wanted to see this thing scaled up. And so that's what was important. So I was ready to sail off into the sunset. I wasn't happy if they were going to move the company to Dallas, but that never came across their minds. They love Bend. They think Bend is a great place to start a company and grow a company. They saw the talent. They've been here. They know we've got OSU Cascades as a talent generator. We're hiring engineers out of that school. And they see this entrepreneurial ecosystem. They understand, my board member called me today to wish me good luck because he knew I was giving this keynote tonight. It's amazing that and I guess they think I have a few more years left in me, but they really see Bend as a great community to be growing a company. We went from 9 employees to 32, and we're still hiring. We expect to have 10 more on our payrolls by the end of the year. So it's been a wild ride, and it's been wonderful to be able to get up every day and have the team that I have. So before I sign off and open up to questions, I just want to, what's really cool, and Jen actually stole my thunder a little bit earlier, because now I get to be once again, for 10 years, there is no way I could be an angel investor in anything. I was happy that, at least I had something and I could stick with it. But now I can be on the other side again. And so as Jen knows, I was part of the BVC this last year, and I'm part of Portland Seed Fund, Fund 4. They take care of their entrepreneurs and give you a special pass to be able to participate in moving it forward, paying it forward. But the other thing that I think is really important to those of us that have walked in these shoes and have the scars on our back, we need to tell these stories to the newer, younger entrepreneurs. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of 2 a.m. moments of insomnia and anxiety, and it can be very lonely. So I have like 5 things, and then I'll turn it over to you, Shannon. One of them is pick your support system or person well. Whether it's your life partner, whoever it is, that person has to be somebody that you can count on. You get 120% of their support, and you are their number one fan. I have that person in my life. He knows who he is. So I can tell you, I can't imagine what it would be like to be standing here without having had his support. Number 2, pick your team well. I've made some mistakes early on. Some of you know that. But the best thing I could say is like, make sure you're surrounding yourself by people who are smarter than you. If you're ever in a meeting with your team and you think you're the smartest person, oh boy, you're in trouble. Because it's good to know what you know, but it's damn more important that you know what you don't know. And surround yourself with people who do know. So, and when you've recognized you've made a mistake, oh my God, you gotta act fast. So, and my team has heard me talk a lot about how important team is. So number 3, pick your customers well. Pick your early customers well, because you're gonna screw up. And you really want customers and early adopters who are gonna be, their expectations have been set, and but you really show your appreciation and you really listen to them. Because you've just heard my story. Oh my God, if it wasn't for that customer who told us, hey, I think your system can do this, I don't think I'd be standing here. So pick your customers well. Pick your investors well. Bringing on investors that support you, want you to succeed, they're gonna be there for you as well. And they bring knowledge, they open doors. I can't speak highly enough of Portland Seed Fund. Angela used to say, it's like, you don't need a mentor, you need a sponsor. You need somebody who's gonna open those doors, that they're gonna make intros for you. So it's really, really important to pick your investors well. And lastly, and then I'll turn it over to Shannon. You do have to stay committed to your vision, to your values, to your vision, to what you really believe in. I don't think that my team, if we didn't believe that we had something special, it just wouldn't have happened. It really wouldn't have. So, but we did have to make some twists and turns and pivots, and I actually hate that word, but we had to. But there was still something core there that we had a true north, and you've just got to stay committed to that, no matter what people tell you. I mean, I have another keynote that I give that says, what was I thinking? Hardware, energy, natural gas, Central Oregon, female-led. How could I have possibly checked more boxes where it made so damn difficult to raise money? But I have to tell you, I had a true north. And I don't know where that came from, but it was there. And I think those of you that are also entrepreneurs, you just kind of know that feeling. I can tell you today is a whole lot more fun waking up. And it's really, really fun because of the people I get to work with and the problem that we're solving. And it's a really big environmental problem. So it even makes it more fun because I can look my little 9-year-old grandson in the eyes and go, I'm trying to make this world a better place. Thank you.
Rita, I'm overjoyed to hear you're hiring and dismayed that my skill set isn't worth a lick to you because, wow, this is such a cool story. What somebody said something? You're like, would we take a comedian just to light fires under people? It could be a thing, Rita. Let's talk. Okay, so You literally, I know you're like, I hate the word pivot, but you made a massive pivot. I mean, massive pivot to the point where you're like, I'm doing this environmental thing with natural gas, and now I'm inking a deal with BP. I mean, you have a vision, you have a true north, but when you have to make that big of a shift, did you feel shook up? Like, tell us a little more about that part of the experience. And it was fast.
Well, we were already working with natural gas utilities. We already had a vision and a mission that we were trying to really enable the natural gas industry to clean up their act. I mean, and I hate to say that in a negative tone, but we really do support the natural gas industry. We have millions of miles of natural gas pipeline that move a lot of gas that can be renewable, and so we're all about helping that industry. So we had that vision. And that customer is a big customer. They're a big player in the industry. And so it wasn't like, it was taking our platform and doing something very different, but it really still fit. The platform, the technology, everything we were doing, it still fit. It wasn't like we had to reinvent the wheel. We just had to adopt the technology to service that particular need in that industry. And then we had to go out and meet all the people who work in that industry and really understand. I mean, and I got, team members here that can talk to their blue in their face about how they just, every single phone call, every single time we talk to a customer, we're learning more and more and more and more and more about this.
When you said the phone rang, I thought you were going to be like, it was the President of the United States of America, but
so Shannon, I can tell you I was in the White House. I got to wish, Barack Obama happy birthday.
So cool. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible what you're doing. Do I have any questions for Rita? Yes, in the back. Yes, you. You're the one. So you're collecting all of this data from your customers, and you said this is a really big problem. Can you dive into that? Can you quantify that? Can you tell us a little bit more of that story?
Well, as everybody knows, there's now global methane trackers out there, and we are really all about methane emissions. So reducing methane emissions from the atmosphere, and I have a few data points. It's really, but I think it's so. To be honest, I don't think they're accurate. I think it's way woefully underrepresented. I can tell you today, though, that in the U.S., there's every day, utilities are having to make this decision about, okay, I've detected a leak. I need to repair the pipe. What do I do with the gas? Is it quicker to just, I'm going to bring out a GoVac, I'm going to try to capture and recover it, versus, okay, I just want to cut, I want to get it out, I want to fix it. And I don't judge them at all. We want to give them the tools, but there's like 600,000 times a year when that's happening that we know of.
Right.
So it's a big deal. It's billions of tons that we're chasing, so around the world, globally.
Rita, are you finding that these companies, that they want to do the right thing?
Oh God, Shannon, yes, I can tell you, we show up at a job site today, and our technician, we're talking to him, and there's you can hear there's a lot of people there. This is in the middle of Colorado, and it's the middle of winter, and there's a lot of people there. And and we heard that, I heard 20 to 30 people were there. And these people, and I've been at a job site up in Massachusetts, and everybody wants to come and they go, oh God, we want to do this. We want to do this. And we want to help them do this. It's just getting the tools finally into their hands that says, no, you don't have to do it that way anymore. You can actually now do this. And our team is so great. I mean, our technicians, our boots on the ground that I have so much appreciation. I look at them as like they're the foot soldiers. They're out there, dealing with all the utilities and the operators, and they're out there, and all of a sudden they have to become like you, Shannon. They're like little MCs having to like walk them through. So how does the system work? Oh, well, here, let me show you. You do this, you do this. They didn't get hired to be presenting
Tell
their
them to call me, Rita. I'd be happy to help. I mean,
maybe you can have that.
I love to travel. How do you find these people? I mean, you're not acquiring new customers by making clever TikTok videos. Like, how are you finding these people and getting this technology into their hands?
Oh, gosh, we are attending a ton of conferences. We were just at a conference in Houston a couple weeks ago. There's a lot of conferences now, a lot of webinars, a lot of education coming down the pike for the utilities. So I will let you know that Donald Trump, in December of 2020, signed into law the PIPES Act. Now, do I think he read the whole thing? I don't know. But I'm not gonna, I'm very independent. But he signed into law the PIPES Act. The PIPES Act actually empowers the Department of Transportation to insist that pipeline operators now eliminate intentional venting. And it's now the regulations now coming into play. So thank you, Donald Trump, for doing that. And it's now, the regulations are coming. The regulations are coming, and so the utilities are like, okay, we know we got to do this, we want to do this, so let's. And they're looking. They're now, we're having more. I just did a report to the board. We had just in the last few weeks, we've had 30 inquiries.
Wow.
We do zero outbound.
Wow.
It's all inbound.
That's amazing. Do I have any other questions for Rita? Yes.
I'm curious, when you started your business with a small group of people, how did you get to the point where you figured out, did you work with EDCO and Oregon State University to do your patents, and then your copyrights or licenses, or like how?
Yeah.
So this is a question about patents, copyrights, licenses. Did you work with EDCO? Did you work with OSU? How did you get through that process?
It's a really good question. So the original technology that was developed by the professor up at OSU Cascades, we licensed that technology. And our first pivot, our first, twist and turn down the product development path as we were being funded by ARPA-E was actually taking his original technology. It was Onboard vehicle, which is actually where Onboard Dynamics came from, and we went to a mobile compressor like that. So doing that, we then started to develop internally our own. We have a pretty robust engineering team led by the gentleman sitting in front of you. And we actually started developing our own patents around this thing. So we still had the OSU support, and we've always worked with EDCO. We've worked with EDCO for we want to find IT support. Oh, we need attorney. I found Karen through, it's amazing how many touch points I have throughout the years with EDCO, with OSU, PSF, BBC. I was on the BBC stage way long time ago. And I actually lost to the guy who did, what was he doing? Some bullseye thing,
Where is he now? Where is that guy?
Sam, I think it was Sam.
I wonder if he had to do any pivoting.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, okay.
Any other questions for Rita? Okay. Oh, yeah, yes.
What about when you applied for the ARPA-E program? So I know I'm really into that too. How did you decide that specifically program was one of the many that you could have chosen?
How did you choose RPE when
that's
you were
really
in
good.
that process?
ARPA-E is a great agency, And actually, Chris, Dr. Hagen, he had the original award. He brought the original award to the school. And then it was when Jeff and I and Chris formed the company and spun it out that RPE was like, oh, now it's a real company. Oh, and they look like they're gonna go places. And so we then applied for follow-on funding. So we were a known entity at that point. And so that was very easy to make that transition.
Do you have an invention, sir? I do. What is it?
I do hydrogen.
Oh, wow.
He does hydrogen.
Yeah.
That's a strong statement. Okay, hold on. There's one in the back. Yes.
How are you handling the supply chain challenges in the pandemic?
How are you handling? How
Oh
are
my
you?
God.
I'm sorry.
Rick,
Was there something at the end of that? How are you handling supply chain challenges during the pandemic era? Was there something to add? And the benefits the IRA and Made in America.
Yeah. Well, okay. So yeah, supply chain challenges. You mean supply chain dragons? You know, one of our components was actually coming from China. Whatever hair Rick did have left, he has none now because of supply chain dragons. It was so frustrating actually last year. Our launch year 2022. We had product, we had customers, we had capital, and we didn't have product. So, but we try to do as much as possible in the US, and we try to do even more in Oregon, and even more in Central Oregon. You know, like our controls, we do as much as we can here in the state. And we're really trying to minimize how much we're doing. I fully believe that I am one of those people that says manufacturing needs to come back to the U.S. We need to rethink all that was happening. So, and we're experiencing it, but now we've got things smoothed out. So.
Yes.
A multi-part question.
Multi-part question.
What's your revenue expectations this year? And is your business model totally in selling mobile units, or do you guys have a service model where you go out and do it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so the expectations for this year, do you have a mobile unit, or are you looking at a model where you are going out and servicing it as well?
Yeah, so I'm not going to share exact revenue numbers, but I will tell you that I'm looking at my CFO over there, but we quadrupled our revenues from 2021 to 2022, quadrupled, which was great, even though we didn't have product. We were still able to do that. We'll double them again this year. So we expect to become like a $20 million company in the next couple years. And the second part of your question was about, business model. Yeah, business model. Yeah. Because of the capital that we received from BP Energy Partners, we were able to move off of direct sales and move more into a leasing and evac as a service. So the team behind you is actually, doing a lot. Being responsible for. Let me tell you, working in the natural gas industry requires a heck of a lot of requirements that you have to meet, that your team has to meet. One of our challenges, I'll say this, just tongue in cheek, is like our technicians, they all fall under the DOT rules, drug testing. So everybody who comes on board. So my philosophy was the technicians have to do it. We all have to do it. Even though we live in Oregon, sorry folks, So it was just sort of like, meeting those requirements. But evacuation as a service and leasing is definitely a business model that will help build our valuation of our company. But our customers that we do sell to, for example, the utility today that says, well, we'll take two, you're looking at a CEO that's just not going to say no. When a utility wants to buy the asset and build it into their rate base, I want them to have the tool. I really do. I don't want them to go across the street and buy it from our competitor.
I want them to have the tool. But we'll have other ways to make money from them. Maintenance, service, and support, report the data. The data. The data is going to become so valuable that we'll be able to start, figuring out how to monetize that data.
Subscription services, right?
Huh?
Subscription boxes. Very hot. Any other questions for Rita? I have a question, actually, because we focused a lot on your company and on your work, and I know that you mentioned how important it was to have support and have a good team and all of these things, but I'm wondering, what are you doing outside of work to balance this wild ride that you've been on and take care of yourself?
I have good friends. I'm a climber, we live in Central Oregon. When my husband says, well, where should we move to? It's like, oh, I know a place where you can golf and I can climb, so I've been climbing a lot. So we live in a very, the quality of life that we have here is just, I'm an outdoors person. So my escapism is getting to the outdoors. So.
Yeah, well, you're in a great place for it. Rita, this is amazing. This has been incredible. I could listen to you talk for hours. I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. We do have a tradition here of offering you the PubTalk sign. I was thinking, ooh, I'm so sorry. It's hitting another one. We do have a tradition here. I'm going to give this to you. You can bring it back. We'll fill it with ice water, and you can take a plunge into it and take a couple of years off your life, is what I was thinking you could do.
Thank you, Shannon. She doesn't know that I don't drink, but that's okay. I'll do the ice water part.
Yeah, but some soda water. I mean, kombucha.
My son.
A week's worth of kombucha.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I was here last month. Kombucha.
Kombucha. Hot tea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Shannon.
Another round of applause for Rita. I wanted to be an engineer when I was younger, and I'm kicking myself tonight because, Rita, this is quite inspiring. So thank you for joining us. Well, my friends, I do have a couple of fun announcements for you. Reddy's Luncheon is coming up next month in Redmond on March 21st, and then it's South County's turn down in Sun River and La Pine with South County La Pine Economic Development Luncheon on April 11th. And if that's not enough luncheons for you, we do have a little rumor going around town that is confirmed. EDCO's largest event of the year, the annual luncheon, is scheduled for May 22nd. It always sells out. We pack the River House absolutely full. You are going to be so excited about the keynote and also the MC, if you know what I mean. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. It's wonderful to have you all. And special thanks to Worthy Brewing, Hand in Hand Productions. And we'll see you back here next month. Thank you, Selco and Oxford as well for the parking. Get home safe, you guys. I'll see you next month, okay?